red rocks, steep drop-offs, amazing murals found along the roadside, and then incredible cracks filled with fish and red rocks. Today I'm taking you to discover Arbatax.
Now guys, do you see behind me? These are the typical sea stacks of the Oliastra area, and I want to try diving there in this area of rocks to see what's down there. More like one of those big little things that I call discomfort. Bottles in hand, the stuff, and off we go. There is a lot of Posidonia because outside there are certainly some stands of giant Posidonia. There must be another parking spot closer to where I need to go, but I haven't found it yet. Let me show you something. I don't know if it's still in use or if it's old, but it was definitely used to pull boats up and put them back in the sea. In the morning, the fishermen's boats where there were no ports, that's exactly it. Look, there are cranks with a reduction. Here they used to haul up, and they still do, I think. And the boat is pulled up.
I finally arrived in front of the red rocks, but while getting dressed, I made a terrible mess with my wetsuit.
Then just tell me. You shouldn't get angry right away, and you have to be careful how you put it on and how you do it. Look at that mess. Now, a sock can be... I hold it a bit like this because otherwise it really becomes a nightmare.
So, with my half-patched wetsuit, I decide to go for a dive and take a little swim of 400 meters towards the sea stacks. At first it's full of dead Posidonia, which makes the water incredibly murky and dirty. I imagine that the water here it should be a little deeper. Actually, it stays around 2 to 3 meters. Maximum. From the surface, I spotted a school of hundreds of thousands of tiny little fish. But I can't figure out what species they are, and unfortunately, the camera can't get a good shot. They look like baby fish, lizards, but I'm not sure. Finally, after a nice swim, the first rocks start to appear. They are covered in Posidonia and seem to have been thrown around here and there by some catastrophic event. But I decide to dive and see what I'll find on the bottom. From above, in fact, it is almost never possible to understand the fauna and wildlife. Flora, that is really found here. As you can see, the current is very strong and it moves the Posidonia. It seems absurd, but in these conditions, seasickness can happen. In fact, you are tossed from right to left, and the algae, or rather the plants that have been discovered, are able to detect seasickness. They move around and they can really cause seasickness. As you can see, there's life here. Damselfish and bream are starting to swim around me. I really love this environment. The water is crystal clear, and unfortunately, the camera can't fully capture what I'm enjoying. Now I'm exactly at the foot of the first red rock. Underwater, however, this color has disappeared because the algae have completely colonized the rock. And as you can see, the environment is rich in life. There are a lot of damselfish that don't seem very calm. In fact, as you can see, they move in sudden bursts. This is a sign that there might be, or there could have been, some big predator nearby. And right in the biggest rock, there's a wonderful crevice that I'm trying to follow. Despite the lack of fish, here in Sardinia you can find these truly incredible landscapes and swim among these huge rocks. It's a lot of fun. It's an incredible thing, almost indescribable. I assure you that if you have the breath for it, observing the sea while freediving from this perspective is something wonderful that will let you savor nature 100%. Look at the colors, look at these red incrustations that surround the rocks. They are truly wonderful. From the surface, I spotted a school of fish that isn't easy to see in these shallow waters. These are bream, characteristic fish that, when alive, have beautiful violet colors. It's a black spot located right in the center of the body. These fish are hunted by larger predators like snapper, sea bass, amberjack, and grouper. When you notice fish that have distinctive spots like bream or striped sea bream, it means they are fish that live in very large schools, and the spots, much like zebras, help to hide them from predators that can't figure out what or who they should attack. And I'm not mistaken, because from above I see a general panic. I decide to dive right behind this rock to hide. Below me, small amberjacks are passing by, but they aren't the ones causing this commotion because the fish are still moving back and forth, fleeing. Here, they are the ones responsible. They are amberjacks, a bit larger, around 1 to 1.5 kilos, moving quickly to hunt the fish, which, as you can see, have completely disappeared. I don't want to shoot these fish, I just want to enjoy their sight. Yet I'm convinced that amidst all this chaos, there must be a much larger fish. But I can't get it to come closer. The amberjacks are still there, but to the right I can see a nice sea bream weighing about 1 kilo. I don't know if you managed to see them, so I decide to move slowly, trying to set up an ambush. But the fish are extremely scared, precisely because I think something really big is circling out in the open water. I hope the sea bream hasn't seen me, and I try to surprise it from the other side of the rock. I peek out. It's a sea bream, but it's not the big one I saw. It's small and extremely scared, a fish weighing about 1/2 kilo. But unfortunately I can't get any closer, so I decide to come up, hidden by the rock.
I'll just spin around for another 5 minutes, and this is one of the last dives I'm going to do. As you can see, the little fish have spread out all over the water column, and the fish are now swimming calmly. Unfortunately, the sock remedy didn't work at all, and as you can see, the gap has remained open. I can guarantee you that staying in the water with all this cold, that's definitely not the case. And I decide to head back. I also take the opportunity to pick up a small piece of plastic. Luckily, the beach here is very clean, but I still want to make my little contribution. Oh, I'm doing something I've never done before, since there's no one around. I want to climb up here on the lifeguard's ladder. Let's see what we can see. Well, I have to tell you, it's not bad, a bit wobbly, but hey, it's doable, really cool. Here you can spot the sharks. All the cliffs are right in front, and you can practically see half of Olia. The slog of the return journey is worse than the outward journey, eh? I assure you. And so I'm leaving. I'm on my way, in the middle of a tree-lined avenue, a dirt road. This year, nature is lush, especially because it has rained here, and as you can see, there's incredible greenery. I'm heading towards Torturi, where I'll be sleeping tonight. And above all, where do I need to find the glue for the wetsuit? I also found this wonderful mural that should tell the whole story of Tortoli and Arbatax, but I didn't stop to look at it because the sun was already setting. I'm taking the opportunity to check out another spot. So here I am tomorrow. This is another place where I'd like to take a little hike. We're right behind the port of Arbatax. I showed it to you last year when I came here with Sayonara and Giulio. The view here is amazing. Look how beautiful it is. These are Martian pathways. Really a joke. Look over here. Fantastic. Shall we send the drone? Let's send the drone. Where is it going? And look at these incredible rocks that are here. Colors that range from red to gray and then plunge into a sea that really looks very, very deep. Going to the right, the cliffs get steeper and steeper, even though there are some wonderful houses that have access to the sea. Look at this incredible landscape, and you can only see these things in Sardinia. This is the cove where I want to dive tomorrow, and behind you can see all of Arbatax, which is different from Tortoli. They are actually two different towns. We need to find the glue for the wetsuit first, otherwise I'm going to freeze my AQ off. I'm freezing my ab off. So, before heading to Santa Maria Navarrese, I don't know if I'm going to go there. Let me take you for a little tour here in the port of Arbatax. It's packed with fishermen. Remember when Giulio and I found 1 billion nets? Let's see if there are any big barracudas in the port. And just as I remembered, the port of Arbatax is packed with small fishing boats that are casting their lines and nets. In short, the sea here is a bit overfished, unfortunately. I wonder if there will be any fish. No barracudas. Unfortunately, the water is very dark. Come on, let's change places. Here we are. This is Santa Maria Navarrese, a little piece of this town that I really love. Then there's a lovely little harbor. And here too, there are the red rocks. Let me show you. Even on that little island, a bit bigger, there's a beautiful big tree, a bit of a tree. In short, it really looks like a landscape that's not from this world. I love it here. Not of this world. I really love it here. It's a bit chilly now, but today it was nice. In this whole area of the coast, there are lots of Spanish watchtowers, which could see each other from a distance. And in case of an enemy attack, they would light fires that were especially visible at night. Up ahead is the little harbor. Unfortunately, it's starting to get chilly and there's a lot of wind. Here is a historic tower, one of many. This is an observation. Let's go check out the port to see if there are any big fish. To get to the port, I recommend driving there and not doing what I did by going on foot, especially in January when this wind is blowing. But the entrance is really cool, with this walkway that looks perfect. And you see, the port is like a little jewel. Come on, let's make a little critique together. This dinghy can't handle a 40 horsepower engine, it's too small. Honestly, there aren't any fish, but there's an incredible piece. It would be nice to come here by sailboat. Spending 2 months there, just by the grace of God. After Santa Maria Navarrese. Here we are in Tortoli, desperately searching for glue to fix the wetsuit. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll have to put on that ugly sock again, like I did today. Tortoli is actually a long street full of shops and quite nice. If you come to Tortoli and look for the shops. With Google Maps, be careful, because I don't know why it directs you somewhere else. So make sure to check where they are. Look for the house number. Because I already pulled a funny prank this morning when I was looking for the bakery. And finally, after a really long walk, I find the fishing shop that sells everything. From scuba gear, fishing rods, trekking stuff, you name it. I found it, luckily. It's a shame they have some nice little things, but I'm a bit pricey, Tucci. Nothing. Let's take a walk here in this little Tortoli. So this is the sealant. As if a wetsuit is supposed to fit right. Now, unfortunately, look at this. It really tore apart in a crazy way. Wait, I'll put it on one side first, then the other. I do, one half at a time, because it doesn't hold its shape. Unfortunately, I'm not at home. I don't have all my clamps and little clamps. But anyway, I'm putting plenty of glue on the inside of the wetsuit, which is the easiest thing to do. At this point, I join the edges and press really hard, hoping the sealant will stick. Otherwise, my hands will come apart and I'll never finish this damn job. So, are you going to stay like this all night? I can't dissolve it! So I'm happy, because the wetsuit is sealed, and I went to the car to get the soapy water to do a rinse. Let me tell you a little story. Yesterday I was thirsty. I got out of the car. I took a sip of this really good soapy water. I burped soap bubbles for about half an hour.
But come on, here it is, see? It's well sealed, I mean, in the end. I did it from the inside, it's perfect.
This morning there's incredible traffic here between Arbarax and Tortoli, and I don't understand why more people are shopping everywhere. They drive so badly. Remember, there's the megaport over there. This is the pharmacy where Giulio and I bought the hand cream. Fiscasport, watch out, it's closed though. And nothing. Here was the hamburger place where I wanted to eat last night. And maybe I would have done well. Here it is, it's not a course equal here. The tower, as we saw yesterday, is also in Santa Maria Ana Navarrese. These towers are in communication. In fact, they should be visible to each other so that if there was a problem, they could light the little fire. This morning the sea is crazy, but it's beautiful. Here, it's really one of the most picturesque places. Then it relaxes you, this place. It held up well. This time I did it better than the original. Let's go. Let's go see what's there. If there's... Wow, how beautiful these stone walls are. So I'm going fishing in this water. Crystal clear. The goal today is to catch some fish for lunch since I'll be going back home later. The landscape here is truly incredible and is made up of huge boulders, granite, and other materials. It's really worth it to do some fishing among these rocks, even though the water is clear. And I probably won't see anything. Also, I don't have much time, just about an hour, because then I have to rush to work. At this point, I'm trying to focus on catching those fish that I'll need for lunch. Further ahead, there's a really important rock. Usually there's always some fish near these structures. Slowly, I'm trying to sneak out to the other side, and I see a nice striped sea bream swimming away. The fish shouldn't have seen me because it's moving calmly, even though at first it was swimming away. So I stop for a bit and let it go ahead. It will probably stop there. On my left, there are thousands of mullets. However, I tried to move a little further, always advancing very, very slowly. And there's the bream, there it is, it's feeding on the wall. It's not huge. It turns around and I try to shoot. Perfectly caught. This gun is really the one I've always used for fishing.
Good.
I also modified the spear, making it a bit thicker.
You see how it shoots straight?
I reload the gun on the rock. I'm pointing out 100 mullets that are feeding. Unfortunately, you can't see anything from the camera. Look at this beautiful environment for making some great weights and ambushes. I take a breath and decide to dive down. Once I'm on the bottom, the sight that opens up before my eyes is incredible. There are these wonderful schools of mullets that seem to almost dance around me.
They're not super scared, but they still keep their distance.
There's one in particular that catches my attention. It's a bit bigger than the others, and I decide to shoot. Many will say that the bream isn't good to eat, but I assure you that if you catch it in these environments, and especially if you clean it right away, it's really a delicious and very, very flavorful fish. The important thing, though, is to clean it right away. Once again, I reload the spear gun and decide to dive into a slightly shallower spot. Here we are at 15 meters, in fact. Today, however, I feel good and have no trouble holding my breath for a long time. I really like the spot I've chosen, so I decide to wait a bit, because maybe some interesting fish might come up from the depths. I take a look at the damselfish, but they're calm, which means there aren't any big predators around. And at a certain point on the left, I see a beautiful sea bream. Of course, it keeps its distance and won't come close, the little devil. But in front of me, there's a beautiful rasa. Look at this green fish that decides to swim around me. These fish are incredibly good to eat, and this one has a really unique coloration. I can almost touch it with the tip of the spear. At a certain point, I turn around, and an even bigger rasa comes in from the front, so I decide to move. Because it disappeared behind the rock, as soon as it reappears, I don't hesitate for a second. I caught it perfectly. I assure you this is a delicious fish, and it's also a great size. At this point, I'm happy, and all that's left to do is go back home.
Mom, guys, now I have to hike and then get to work so we don't miss anything. One more thing. I forgot my knife because I lost it in Neptune when I was filming the octopus. Help! So, without a knife, it's a mess. To kill the fish, I have to use the tip of the spear. I assure you, it's not easy. Oh my god, these scales, I have all the weights. All right, see you soon in the kitchen.
Ah, welcome home then. Now it's time to cook the tordon, which is a very good fish. Now, not judge the chaos, the dirt, the mess. I'm a bad and ugly egg who usually eats the dog's can alone. So this is already a huge upgrade. Now, with one hand, I'll show you how I'm going to try to clean the wrasse. Let's check out the colors, and also study the species, which is very interesting. There's not a lot of light, but I want to show you these incredible orange hues of this fish, with even some blue spots. This lip just for... The shape of the mouth and all of it, even the rather pointed teeth. In fact, it tears off vegetation, hunts small invertebrates and crustaceans. In short, it's an omnivorous fish. So let's get through this little moment of discomfort and negative comments together. It's not like if a fish is beautiful, you can say, but why did you shoot it? Poor thing, he was so colorful because there are Series A fish and Series B fish. They're all living beings, but we are still omnivores and hunters. So, it's not like we can discriminate and be racist about the color of the fish. This one can be shot, that one can't. So, I fish for the goodness of its meat, but in its stomach, there's everything from small pieces of Posidonia to spines from other fish. From what it seems to me, a little piece of shell from a crustacean, so it's an omnivorous fish, and he didn't make a difference. Definitely about the color, but the recipe that I think is the best for enjoying fish, when it's fresh and good, and like all the best recipes, is a simple one, really simple. What do? I cut some cherry tomatoes, I'm putting some inside the fish's belly and some around on top. So, in the pan, look, it's really simple. Let's take some capers, I also. In the stomach, let's taste one.
They crack me up. I love them to death. And here, in a super simple way, salt. We add a splash of oil. Now don't mind that it's a bottle. This is good oil. And then I add half a small glass of water with a bit of wine and close it up. You see, I also added a little bit of water. Now I'll close it up and let it cook slowly. It'll take about 10 minutes. I know. There are 100 billion better recipes than this one. But remember, we are simple people, fishermen. We're tired, just out of the sea, and I want to enjoy the fish to the fullest. If I start doing super complicated things, first I cover up the flavor of the fish, and second, especially, I waste a lot of time and make a mess in the kitchen. Instead, this is the best way to enjoy it, if not raw. We're there. Can you hear how it's bubbling? To check if the fish is ready, just stick a knife in it. It's still raw. It's hard to pierce. Then slowly you can take off the lid and let it dry out. This little sauce that forms a bit with the tomatoes, but in the end, it's a very simple thing. Look how, as the sauce thickens, it has become much denser, and this is delicious. You see how the knife now sinks in perfectly? Try it. Especially in the widest part of the fish, it means the fish is done. And now, guys, it's time for the taste test. Oh my goodness. I can swear to you that blackbirds, scorpionfish, traces, these bottom fish are incredible. And this is really delicious. Try this recipe and you'll make it all the time because it's easy and exquisite. No guys, see you in the next video. I greet you from the Rasa. Please, don't make racial discrimination based on the color of the fish.